Nicole Medina with Colorado Code Consulting and the co-chair of the Sustainability Membership Council. No nation can exist without water. Water safety is not just about how safe the water is to drink, it's also the safety of having water or the access to water. Let's take a look at how Singapore secured their nation's water, what they had to do for this, and how serious it was, and quite frankly still is. Join us for today's video on global water safety.
A few days after independence, the Prime Minister of Malaysia told the British High Commissioner, if Singapore doesn't do what I want, I'll switch off the water supply. So I knew that unless I could become less dependent, at that time I did not believe I could be totally independent, but less dependent on Malaysian supplies, I would always be a satellite. So the quest began for water independence.
First on the agenda, to increase the local water catchment area for rainwater collection. Civil engineer Lee Ek Tiang was put in charge of the project. He dammed up Singapore's estuaries and established a comprehensive network of drains, canals and rivers to ensure only clean rainwater runoffs fed the new reservoirs. A new sewerage system had to be constructed across the island to ensure soiled water did not pollute the water catchment areas. But perhaps the most audacious plan Lee Kuan Yew had was to clean up the Singapore River and Kallang Basin. Since the founding of Singapore in 1819, the Singapore River had been the lifeline of trading and business activities. Over the years, the heavily used waterways degenerated into an open sewer and rubbish dump as all forms of waste were indiscriminately discharged into them. Cleaning up the black, foul-smelling river was a massive undertaking. Many businesses had to be relocated during the cleanup. The project was completed in 1987. Lee Kuan Yew's success in cleaning up Singapore's waterways and rivers meant that the island had its own domestic water supply. Singapore's National Water Agency, PUB, continued to find more ways to increase water supply. It leveraged rapid technological advances to develop new and sustainable sources of supply like new water and desalinated water to help diversify Singapore's water resources. Today, 5 new water plants can meet up to 40% of Singapore's total water demand. This is set to increase to 55% by 2060. Singapore also built desalination plants to process seawater through reverse osmosis. By 2060, desalinated water is projected to fulfill up to 30% of Singapore's future water needs. Singapore's water needs are now served by the 4 national taps: local catchment water, imported water, new water, and desalinated water. In 2008, the Marina Barrage was completed. Singapore now has 17 reservoirs from the initial 3 in the 1960s. The local catchment area covers 2/3 of the island. Lee Kuan Yew had the foresight to sign 2 water agreements with the state of Johor in the 1960s. The 2 water agreements were guaranteed by the Government of Malaysia in the Separation Agreement of 1965, and the Separation Agreement was registered at the United Nations. The first agreement signed expired in 2011. The second water agreement allows Singapore the full and exclusive right to draw up to 250 million gallons per day from the Johor River until 2061. However, our water supply remains vulnerable to factors such as climate change. Singapore's quest for water security remains a work in progress. Our water story is an important reminder to make every drop count.
Securing access to water is a necessity for all nations, including in the United States. When political leaders failed to strike an agreement on how to divvy up water, Florida sued Georgia in the Supreme Court in 2013. Florida is alleging that Georgia's water usage during a recent drought has decimated the oyster population. Florida wants the courts to limit Georgia's future freshwater usage so more fresh water will flow downstream to help revive the oyster industry. And in recent years, Texas filed a lawsuit against New Mexico and Colorado concerning the amount of water the Rio Grande River is providing for Texas. This lawsuit has the policies of water usage changing in these states. In 2019, the Colorado River and the 7 States and Mexico Compact was revised for those parties to utilize less water from the already stressed Colorado River. There was a report in 2014 from NASA and the University of California, Irvine, that from 2004 to November of 2013, the Colorado River Basin lost 53 million acre-feet of fresh water from on and below the surface. To put it plainly, that's 17 trillion, with a T, gallons of water. That would fill the nation's largest reservoir, Lake Mead, twice. So how do you support a growing community with less available water and sustain it? It's a question that we have to figure out how to answer, and we have to figure out how to answer it on a global scale. This is where our model building codes can help. The International Plumbing Code contains provisions to limit the amount of water that it takes to flush a toilet or that flows through various plumbing fixtures. The IPC also has provisions to help address non-potable water systems, such as gray water, rainwater harvesting, and reclaimed water. It's a new standard that was created by ICC for rainwater harvesting can be utilized for sustainable water practices. Now, the International Energy Conservation Code has provisions that require designers to place the device for heating the water in a location that does not exceed the established distance of piping to the fixture. This is something to address the amount of energy it takes to heat the water and to get it to that particular fixture. It also does double duty by eliminating the amount of water that literally goes down the drain while waiting for that heated water. The Energy Code also has requirements for a vapor retardant cover to be utilized on outdoor pools and spas. This limits the amount of water loss to evaporation along with the amount of energy that is saved. In the long scheme of things, when you enforce the Energy Code, you also save water. Remember, water is used in the process to generate the energy needed by buildings. We can't forget about the International Green Construction Code and the National Green Building Standard, also known as ICC 700. The Plumbing Code addresses provisions inside the building, and the Green Codes go beyond that building and address things that you're going to find on your site, such as irrigation, the type of sprinklers that you might use, water features that you're wanting to install with it, and the vegetation that you're going to utilize in your landscaping. So join us tomorrow for the next edition in the Sustainability Membership Council's video series, Voices from Building Safety Month.